Welcome to Let's Talk Nerdy, or whatever the fuck this show is. I'm Amy, and today we don't actually have Josh. I have an old friend for me, new friend to this channel, because you actually haven't been on my channel yet in the years I've known you. This is Andrew Rosa of Mastercast TV and Dark Cinema Productions.
Dark Current Cinema.
Dark Current Cinema, thank you.
Yeah.
I am very tired. I've been on the night shift too long. Hello.
Hello.
Mostly, I just wanted an excuse to hang out with this dude, but today's topic is the sort of retro revival we're going through right now.
Yeah. A retro revival. I mean, I guess
it never
the
stopped
most
for you.
Popular at this time. No. I'm like, I'm just looking at Target, and now they have a vinyl selection that rivals that of their CDs.
I saw vinyl players.
Thank you for joining the club.
Yeah, I saw vinyl players for $40, and I got excited because I've never been able to afford one before. They're probably not good, and they'll probably fuck up any records put on there. But I'm glad the option is there.
Well, if it says Crosley, I would say avoid it, like, herpes. It's it's not worth it. I've had a Crosley. Crosleys are not particularly well made. I mean, if you're only a casual vinyl listener, I mean, I guess they are not bad. Yeah. Or if you have that attitude of, I have 2 or 3 records left, I may as well listen to them from time to time. They're okay, but if you actually give a damn about build quality and audio quality, then you're not going to want a Crosley. Yeah, because I know you're a vinyl enthusiast.
I love them. I love the sleeves. I love how it sounds. I have never been able to, this is left over from childhood, from my parents having them. I have not been able to own one myself. The same reason I have, looking over at my desk now, I have 10 VHS tapes just sitting on my shelf, and I have no way to play them. So it's just one of those things.
We need to get you a VCR, hon.
Yeah, and a TV. And so right now I'm pretty much just living through other people. One of them being you. And you have a cool project that's about to come out that is related to VHS.
Oh, yes, because it's odd. I've been mostly into vinyl and even audio cassette, which is receiving its own revival to an extent. I find that rather remarkable. But
I think it's like a return to... People they want something more tangible. Everything's so digital now. TV's digital. Nobody buys CDs even anymore. And it's just, people want a physical copy of stuff because there's so many variables in our modern society which are intangible and kind of, they're all digital based. They're all, nothing feels set. Nothing feels final or set in stone.
It's in the cloud.
It's in the cloud,
It's in the cloud. Yeah.
There are pictures that I think I thought were great and took 10 years ago that were on my MySpace that you can't find them anymore. They're gone. It does not exist anymore. But there are pictures from my childhood in the 90s that are physical pictures that still exist. So, nothing is...
Yeah.
So I think it's just a return to, this is my physical copy. As long as I'm taking care of it, it'll be there.
Well, that's I know with vinyl, for many people, they tend to have that attitude, if not to use such a broad generalization for vinyl enthusiasts, but many of them, especially if they come into it late, it's this, they sound better, and I'm like, okay, that's really dependent.
Not necessarily. It depends on the quality.
Yeah, I mean, it depends greatly on Right. It depends on the quality of the pressing, first and foremost. Then you have your. It's much more reliant, I feel, on the equipment you have to play it. And don't get me wrong. I think it's terrible how people, as soon as CD really started taking off, people were saying how vinyl was so fragile, they scratch easily, and I'm like, look, if you're not an idiot and you take care of it, I know CDs. I mean,
they're
CDs,
terrible.
especially
That's so hilarious to think of, because even with as many CDs and stuff that I have, from when CDs were the main thing before MP3s, a lot of them are beat to hell because nobody took care of them, because everybody was like, oh, this is the more reliant version. Vinyl and cassette, they're so fragile.
Well, that's something that's been driving me nuts, even with CD. I mean, because now I get this from some vinyl enthusiasts as well as some cassette enthusiasts, and where they say, well, CDs were crap, they scratch easily. I'm like, okay, first of all, let us go back in the time machine and listen to all the assholes then. They were saying the same shit as we were transitioning from these analog formats to CD. Mm-hmm. Now that you've gotten into it, now the shit that probably passed you by, you're trying to put down this other product by saying the same shit, which is no more true than it was toward, vinyl or cassette. Because here's the thing that drives me nuts. I hear this a lot.
Yeah.
It's when somebody says, oh yeah, I had that on DVD, I wore it out. I'm like, okay, let's look, it's a disc.
Yeah.
The only thing it really makes contact with is a laser, and that laser is light. It doesn't, if you're putting it in a player, and more often than not these folks are talking about DVD players or, God forbid, a PS2.
What? I used my Xbox 360 to watch DVDs for a long time.
Oh, yeah, there's that. Or gaming platforms today. But, I tell them, like, look, it's not a tape. You don't wear out a DVD. You don't wear out a CD. You either take care of it or you don't. If you wore it out, that means you fucked it up.
It means you were lazy one day and you didn't put it back in the case, and it sat on top of your console, which was playing other games and shit, and it fucking warped the disc because it got hot. Or you set something on top of it, or they're very fragile.
Or you put it in that stack. You put it in that stack of CDs that you're too lazy to go and grab the case off the shelf, or you broke the case because you stepped on it.
You remember those cases for blank CDs that had like the donut hole really in the middle, ones? And that people would the ones like you would get like the blank CDs that were all like together in a pack, and then some people would like use that to store their CDs. So they were all laying on top of each other. It's not terrible, though not ideal.
No. That's not so bad for blank media because there's no information.
No, I mean like they would use up all the blank CDs, and then they would use that as a way to store DVDs and stuff, because people's DVD collections got massive. I have mine in a binder now because I moved so much.
That's what I did for a while.
Yeah, it became impractical to have cases for each individual one because I've moved so much that it just became a pain in the ass. But I have them all very nicely put in my DVD Bible. But the good ones are in a case. Like if fucking Dragon Ball Revolution is in the binder, and Ghostbusters is in a case. That's the differential there.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, that is something that drives me nuts, and it's like, look, we don't have to put down these products in order to build up the other one. I mean, we shouldn't do that with people. We shouldn't do it with perfectly good technology that served its purpose for that time. Mm-hmm. And there are certain advantages. And this kind of goes back to when you were talking about the revival of sorts, one of which I feel is kind of VHS. I mean, I don't think we'll ever see VHS, Betamax, any of these formats in a Target.
No.
No, JVC, Sony, they're not going to start making players again. That's just not going to happen. But it's the thing with audio cassettes as well as video cassettes, be it Betamax, VHS, or even Video 2000, if you should happen to have any English listeners that remember that long forgotten format.
I'll have to. I'll put out a survey, and all 5 of them can let me know.
Yeah, Video 2000 was only released really throughout Europe and the United Kingdom, and it worked kind of like a audio cassette, but it was video. Crazy, and it's fascinating, but I haven't seen too much. There's a great video from Techmoan that talks about the Video 2000 format. It's really fascinating, but even there, Betamax, it was all about Betamax and VHS, or as they say, Betamax. Yeah, it's to them it's beta, to us it's beta, but yeah, beta.
Fancy.
And they always like to get very snooty. Not everyone, but they'll get snooty and say beta is the proper pronunciation. I'm like, look, it's a Japanese product. They're calling it Betamax. Yeah, culturally, we're all over the place. So I think both are accepted. If you want to say beta, fine, but I'm going to say beta because I'm an ignorant fucking American.
Well, here's the thing. Even within America, I'm sure you could hear it pronounced differently depending on where you are. So it doesn't matter. It's one of those things that was like, of all the shit we could be arguing about right now, this is not one of the things I want to spend a spoon on today.
Oh, yeah, I know. But it's like but the thing about like audio cassette, but sticking more toward video cassette is that aside from nostalgia, like people our age, we grew up with VCRs.
Yeah.
We had VHS in our homes. And, certainly we all have fond memories of going to the cinema and watching movies, but we also have fond memories of watching movies at home. Like, that's how I watched Wizard of Oz. I saw Wizard of Oz. Mom bought the 50th anniversary set, and we watched it. And I watched it a bunch. I still have it.
Me too. That's actually one of the VHSs I think I also still have. I even, just out of curiosity, looked up the value. I guess that's one everybody held on to, because it's only worth, a couple of bucks.
Oh, that's most tapes. Tapes that are really going to run you are occasionally Star Wars tapes. It depends on the interest at the time. And horror cassettes.
Those are hard to find. And I think that's another part of the revival of it coming back. People like the hunt. People like going out and finding these things again. In thrift stores, they're usually $1 a cassette. So you can go and find, I found the blooper reel for the Highlander TV show, which I never watched. But I had to get it because it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I found that at a moving trading company for $1. And it was right next to the Darren Aronofsky's pie. They were sitting next to each other. They were sitting right next to each other, $1 each. $2. I had 2 pieces of media that are no longer, I think, in print anymore. No. They're they're in print as far as Blu-ray, DVD. I mean, they're available, readily available, but and not in this form.
Yeah, not in that form. I mean, but that's another thing too. Recently, I got into Betamax collecting, and trying to get horror movies on Betamax. Oh my God, I was trying to find Halloween, The Thing, Christine, some of my favorites, all Carpenter films.
And I've never seen anything on Betamax. That wasn't something I was...
Oh God.
I've never seen anything on Betamax. I've seen VHS. I've never seen anything on Betamax.
Well, that's the crazy thing, because Betamax did stick around. It's just that after a while, they started repurposing VHS sleeves for Betamax. They would just put an extra piece of foam core inside it.
Oh.
So that it would fill the space, and they would put a sticker over the VHS logo that said Beta.
Wow.
And yeah, so all of
that doesn't sound like it should work, but I guess it did.
Oh yeah, because technically they're the same width and thickness, but they're not as wide. Like lengthwise, they're just not as wide. But yeah, Beta was, at least in the U.S., up until about the early 90s. You can still find a few movies from that era, but they're not in great quantities. It's kind of like when VHS was dying out. A highly sought-after tape now is A History of Violence, the David Cronenberg movie.
Wow. I didn't know that
because that was... Oh, yeah. Yeah, Man on Fire, Domino, you can get all of those on VHS, and that was the early 2000s.
I think the last thing we bought on VHS as a family, I think, was The Haunting of Hill House and the X-Men movie. Were like the last things we bought on VHS, and then like everything else past that is DVD.
I think the last thing I bought that was actually current VHS-wise was The Phantom Menace in widescreen.
Oh my god. I think that was one of our first DVDs we got. I actually have the piece of film that they put in the special collector's DVD boxes.
Nice.
I don't have the DVD anymore, but I have that. Wow.
But yeah, you look back on VHS, I mean, we have a lot of our cinematic memories wrapped up in tape, and for some they have even more memories wrapped up in tape because maybe their parents had a video camera, so those would be your motion picture video library right there. It's like, oh my god, that's when we went to Disneyland the first time, or that sort of thing. Like they had VHS-C cameras, and even people that bought into high 8 or mini DV, they would make copies onto VHS.
And that was even like, with America's Funniest Home Videos, there was this whole sort of entertainment aspect of that. Like maybe you'll catch a moment that you will get on this show, or and now like I feel like that was like the grandfather of what a lot of early YouTube was.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I could definitely see that. But, that's a thing, too, about VHS, or even Betamax, because people are very passionate about that format as well. I think sometimes for the wrong reasons, but...
for snooty reasons sometimes.
Kind of snooty. Much of that comes from ignorance, not realizing that, sure, technically Betamax is superior, but we're talking about standard definition televisions of the late 70s or early 80s going up until HD. HD really didn't start becoming very accessible to the consumer market until like the mid to late 90s.
And even
late
then,
90s, really. They were still expensive.
I don't think my family got a widescreen TV until I was well into college.
Yeah, and that would have been
2006, 2007.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That's when they started becoming more accessible and commonplace. But the quality difference between Betamax and VHS wasn't so great that it would make people overlook the fact that Betamax initially you could only record up to an hour. Because on Beta 1 recording, you could only get an hour. VHS gave you 2 hours right off the bat. And thanks to RCA, they came up with the an even longer play mode where you could get 4 to 6 hours on a tape.
I remember, like, I could put in a tape in the morning as a child that was, like, recorded TV. And it would be things like Alice in Wonderland, Parenthood, and then I think, like, the last one was, like, Nightbreed. And you could just put that in, and that was the day's program.
And you see right there, that's kind of the magic of it, because we cannot deny that TV has had a tremendous impact on culture, not just in America, but across the entire fucking planet that has television. It's had a tremendous impact. And you go back to that time really before Betamax or VHS, because Betamax did come out before VHS. You did not have that kind of freedom. Like, sure, you want to have a life, but damn it, you really love catching Wheel of Fortune. So, it's become your tradition with your significant other, what have you. And here, you had a product that kind of liberated the consumer and gave them a ton of power. It's like, hey, you know what? Hun, fuck it. Let's go ahead and set the timer. We'll record Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. We'll hire a babysitter. We'll get the fuck out. We'll go to dinner, dancing. We'll come home, pay off the babysitter. Put the kid to bed, fuck like wild rabbits, and have our post-coitus cigarette watching. Yeah, exactly. Watching Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. Or you have that one guy that is like, you know what, everyone keeps telling me The Jeffersons is great, but I always have to work when it's on. Well, fuck it. Now you can record it, come home and eat it for lunch before going, eat his lunch and watch The Jeffersons before going back to the night shift.
There is a lot of taken, for granted how on demand our entertainment is now.
Yeah. Yes.
Josh and I have, instead of, it's so much so that TVs aren't really in living rooms in a lot of modern apartments anymore. Ours is in our bedroom because that's where we watch TV, because we watch it before we go to bed. During the day, we're doing other stuff, so there's, there isn't that whole, people don't go and sit in front of the TV all day anymore, because there's that freedom of, this is when we're, this is when we're consuming our entertainment. Or if they are kind of chilling, they're chilling at their computer.
Or with their phone.
Yeah. So, sometimes at the same time. You'll be on, you'll be answering things on your phone while playing a video or something on YouTube. Speaking there is there's this new thing on YouTube I wanted to mention to you. There are people who are getting those tapes where people have recorded an entire day's worth of TV. They're finding them in thrift stores, and they're just kind of going through and reviewing and finding the gems on these tapes. And it's fascinating.
I've seen those.
I
keep hoping to find somebody that has a better recording of that pirated broadcast where that guy was wearing a mask of
the Max Headroom one?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. That is a mystery for the ages. They will never catch them.
Yeah, I would love to see a sharper recording.
Yeah.
Oh no, probably not.
I don't want them
but
to.
I love the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, no,
if somebody's going to get away with shit, you can get away with that. That was entertaining. People are still talking about it.
Oh, God, yeah. And I'm just glad somebody did manage to record it so we can experience it today.
And that wasn't something you could plan to record. You had to have been recording something else completely and then just, look at this.
Yeah, somebody was obviously recording their football game when that happened, and they just held on to it because it's like, hey, you remember that shit? That was really fucking weird. I kept the tape.
Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of VHSs are just these moments we've caught randomly, rather than.
Oh God,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. They're not people holding on to episodes of Sex in the City. It's like, who gives a shit? It's we have that on. We could have bought a tape. We have
Sometimes
it on DVD.
They're half
we have
episodes
it on Blu-ray
because they ran out. I was watching this one
half
guy.
Episodes.
He had half of the Xena Warrior Princess musical episode. I'd never seen Xena Warrior Princess before.
Oh, or you get those ones where they record television shows. Pardon me. Oh my God.
No, you're fine.
Panda coming back up.
Oh no.
Panda coming back.
Ugh.
Yeah, damn panda. Mushroom chicken.
That's hilarious because I had leftover Genghis today from my birthday yesterday.
Nice. And
apparently
happy
Asian
birthday
food
again.
is... Oh, no worries. Thank you. Anyway.
Yeah, that reminds me. Before I forget, because I know you only have so much time.
No worries.
But yeah, one thing I am looking forward to is finally living out a childhood dream and releasing a VHS tape with my shit on it.
Yay! You showed me the art today.
Stupid.
It's gonna be fucking rad. It's not stupid. It's really not.
No. This is why I feel stupid.
Why?
Because when I wanted to make movies, when I was like 7, 8, 9, that's when the idea really like hit me. I'm like, I can make movies. And one of my dreams then was to make a movie just so somebody would put it on a tape, then I could go to Music Plus and rent it. That was not setting the bar high for dreams when I think back on it, but it's... and I won't be able to do that.
No.
But at least it will be on tape.
If I had the budget, I would rent out an old Blockbuster for the day. And that would be the launch party. You know what I mean? Rent out an old fucking Suncoast and have just like, even if we couldn't afford to have that many prints, but just like a bunch of your short VHSs, maybe with like different versions of the art, just to put up around and be like, here you go. And have the launch party
before I
there.
get into some... that would be fucking amazing.
Right.
But, that is one thing I will mention, shortly. But for those of you listening, if you're at all curious, it's a collection of short films we put on YouTube. They're all available on the Mastercast TV channel under the Dark Current Cinema playlist. And they're all there, including a few I did not include because they are fan movies. I don't want to sell something that has copyrighted material of that nature on it. But
they're all really
those are
good,
available
though.
there.
I've done this before,
I
but I've always highly recommended them. Like, not even like a, hey, I'm in this, watch this. It's more like, have you seen this shit? Could you please watch this shit so we can talk about it? Thank you. Yeah, no, it's great. And Flickr is still one of my favorites, and that was like your first one.
That was the first one I was truly happy with. I'll give it that. I made a bunch before I ever got there, but Flickr was the one where I felt like, you know what, I've defined my eye, I've defined my voice. I think this is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And it was very much in vain with how I keep doing shit, where I just kind of collect footage, I do stuff, or have other poor unfortunate souls act out things, and then we figure out what's the subtext later. But it's that's how I've been. But
I mean, well, that's the process
Flickr,
in general. It's a very authentic, very honest process of, well, we're here, we have a camera, we have somewhat of a plan, let's see what the fuck happens, let's do this.
Well, because you have filmmakers like David Fincher where they like to plan every single thing down to somebody flipping their hair. But then you have, I don't really care for this filmmaker very much, but I do understand the process and appreciate it, is Woody Allen, where he'll shoot much of his movie, but then he'll kind of stop and say, I want to cut together what I have and see where I'm going.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, I just would like to agree with the sentiment. If I am not a Woody Allen fan, haven't been for a long time. I've never really been, even before all the drama, I wasn't really into his aesthetic style or his storytelling methods. So
his whiny bitch problem.
Yes,
of being.
As a woman, I hear that enough. I don't need a whole genre of film to be that for me. I have that in real life. It's fine.
Centered around essentially the same type of guy going through very similar problems from film to film.
It's a lot of self-insert.
It's a lot, and I'm like, okay, that may be good for a movie or two, but eventually, I mean, unless you want to be like Rob Zombie and ride that pony into the sunset, I suggest trying.
More admiration for Rob Zombie than I do Woody Allen, because he knows. He has a song called "Everybody's Fucking in a UFO." The man knows it's fine.
Admittedly, I have more respect for him as a musician than I do as a filmmaker, but especially when he was White Zombie. But I love White Zombie.
Oh yeah,
White
but to
Zombie
return,
was great.
to return to the point you're making. Sorry.
Oh no, but with doing a VHS release now, it's going to have 5 shorts as well as a trailer for my very first feature, Murder Virgin, the motion picture.
I'm super excited to see that. I really am. Jessie, the other actor in that, is fantastic. Like, the camera loves her, and she just has such a presence that you're immediately just like, who is this? You know? So I'm looking forward to that. Plus, you get to do a lot of comedic acting.
It's funny. For so many years, I've had people tell me, it's like, yeah, your shit's dark. It's good, but it's not very scary. I'm like, look, I'm not going for jump scares. Those don't age well. I like something that's maybe a bit more unnerving. And he's like, yeah, but you're always so funny. Why don't you try doing comedy? I'm like, oh, come on. I act like an asshole all the time. It's not special to me, but I decided to go that route because I just love Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
It's
it's not like this isn't going to get dark at some point either. I mean, it is a serial killer movie.
It's the concept for, again, those listening, because I've told you about it ad nauseum. But it's a serial killer that has yet to kill anybody because he's a complete fucking idiot, and he may be just too nice. He's too nice of a person to really go through with it, and he hasn't figured that out yet. And it isn't until he meets somebody who's an established serial killer to kind of open his eyes a bit. And there's also that comedic edge where it's very much Wile E. Coyote meets Roadrunner. Which I've broken down psychologically so many times. You know what? The Roadrunner could go anywhere. He's so fast. You realize he may like to be chased just to fuck with that coyote. Just to fuck with that coyote.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That bird is playing with fire. And I'm like, you are one turnt ankle away from being dinner.
It's. But I've always enjoyed that dynamic, and I'm like, what would that be like in a slasher movie where the final girl, she's the first and really the only, because he can't fucking kill anybody. He just sucks at it, and he's too hell-bent on, no, I chose her, she's going to fucking die.
And it's not like he doesn't try to choose other people. It just never fucking works.
Yeah, right.
He's like, you know what, this isn't working out. Maybe I'll try this. Okay, that went worse. That went even worse. I'm okay. I need some time to think. I need to replan.
You can't kill a guppy, so you're gonna try for a boar? What the fuck is wrong with you? But doing the VHS release though, it's been fun in that. It's
sometimes
tedious.
you just gotta do shit because you want to do it. Like, regardless of reception, regardless of what people are gonna think, or what you think you should be doing. Sometimes, if it makes you happy, do it.
Oh, I've gone through my midlife crisis as of late. I didn't buy a sports car or try and fuck somebody half my age. Not that those are really options available to me, but it's, no, I just realized, you know what, I don't want to have a channel where all I do is talk about other people's art. And I feel video games are art. I'm like, I did this as a side project, to keep busy in between movies. And now it's become where I'm trying to keep the side project alive, and I'm allowing the dream to kind of fizzle out. I'm just letting Freddy stab the fuck out of it, and I'm like, all right, bitch, get off it. Prime time is fucking over. Give me my dream back. And...
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and not only that, you can tell that it was something that people wanted to work on, and that's from speaking from experience from being on the set for a few of these. These were good times.
Sweet. Set. Like we had sets.
Yeah. I was using verbiage
so
to make
kind.
you look better. But since it's out of the bubble, when I was at your house.
And our apartment.
And an apartment.
Or chasing you down the block.
Right? Next to the neighborhood watch sign. With me screaming. Yeah. I was like, oh, we are in Waldorf. Gotcha.
5 cars pass us by. I'm covered in blood and blackened eyes.
I thought for
You're
sure
running down
I
the
was
street
going
screaming.
to have to, like, fucking roll to charm a police officer at some point to be like, hey, no, I'm fine. I swear to God, I'm fine. It's all good. No, we don't have a permit.
We never saw one squad car.
No. Not even, like, a passively concerned
did I tell you?
citizen.
Oh, not even one. But
Not
you want to
even
hear
one.
something? I'll keep
What?
it really brief because I know... no, I'll keep it very brief because I know you need to go. But
I'm already ready for work, and it doesn't take me too long to get there, so it should be okay.
Okay, well, yeah, it's very short, but a nice tag on to your experience. When we were shooting The Shadow of Halloween, I was out there with a friend of mine, Mike Bean, and he was my camera operator. I'm playing the Shape, and mind you, it's twilight, and I'm in a Michael Myers mask. On camera, we have a fucking kid on his bicycle just riding by. Doesn't give me a thought. And then we see a truck stop, and I'm like, oh, shit. And I'm like, all right, Bean, put it down, put it down, put it down. I'm taking off my mask, put it down. And I take it off. I look back at the truck, and the guy says, hey, yo, what you doing? And I'm like,
no.
I'm making a Halloween fan movie. And he's like, that's the Michael Myers joint, right? I'm like, yeah, precisely. And he's like, awesome. What are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm getting a shot for the opening. And he's like, great. And he doesn't take off.
I'm going to sit here and watch and be in the shot. You know what?
Oh.
We've both lived in other places other than Maryland. This feels like a unique Maryland thing. Like, there's a mixture of apathy and interest at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this might go down poorly, but I want to see it if it does.
Oh, no. And thankfully, he was out of shot. I did 2 takes in front of this guy. Yeah, and he's like, that's fucking awesome, man. I'm like, thank you. And I give him a great big, thumbs up with the mask on and shit. Yeah, and he's like, is this going to be on YouTube? I'm like...
Probably. But you know what? It might have something with the rise of YouTube, that people are just very chill with seeing this shit on the street now. Like, I'm still very subconscious when I leave the house in cosplay. But people don't care, or if they do care, they're interested. They're like, is this going to be on YouTube? Am I going to be famous? Are you famous? I don't know, but you're filming and you're wearing a costume. So I feel like this might be a good thing for me if I talk to you right now.
Oh, I know. Like, thanks to everybody having a camera, everybody having a channel, it seems.
Have you ever had somebody film you while you're filming? Like, take out their camera and film your process just because, it's free content? Because I've had people just while I'm out doing cosplay stuff, just without, and this is actually a big thing in the cosplayer community, like, you don't take pictures without asking permission, but because you're out in cosplay, people think, oh, well, they don't care. And they will film whatever you're doing. And it's weird. Because they haven't come up and said hi. They've just taken out their fucking phone. And I'm like, what blog am I about to be on?
Yeah, that makes me a tad uneasy.
Yeah.
I've never had anybody pull out a camera on me that At least not that I know of. As far as when I'm shooting, I've had like Mikhail did that when we were shooting stuff. Erica is. Oh, yeah, she loves taking behind-the-scenes photos. She's a shutterbug, and photography
but she's
is her
also,
passion. But,
received permission beforehand,
Oh, no, I tell that bitch I never like to have behind-the-scenes photos. I'm very much keeping it like Stanley Kubrick. The process is very protected, and, nobody should see the secret sauce. Those 11 herbs and spices stay in the fucking cabinet. But, but no. I was like, oh, please, honey, do it. But but no, I've yet to have that happen. I think. Oh wait,
because that's the other thing. Because
I do remember there was one time. One time it was when I went to Intervention Con, and I think that was 2012. It was my first convention. I only had like 8 episodes of My Life with Sega back when I had that fucking channel.
Yeah.
And I was promoting My Life with Sega, and I was being interviewed by another gaming channel on YouTube. And they were talking to me about my channel. They were talking about the con, what I hope to accomplish, and blah, blah, blah. And in the background, there was somebody, they took out their phone like, oh man, is this like the nerd? Is this Angry Nerd?
Well, you know what? That's just the culture of conventions, and maybe you, me, and Josh will do a collective recording on that where we talk about our convention experiences, but that's just the culture around that.
I would love to.
Yeah, so that'll be another one we'll do.
And also, and the importance of where you place your hands when taking photos with other people.
Jesus Christ. Don't I know that shit?
Yeah.
And you know what?
Oh,
and
I
I'll
would
say
love
this right
to hear
now,
your take on that.
I have called people out, and if you put your hands on me, I will put my hands on you, and you will not like it. So, yeah. Cosplay is not consent, bruh. You about to die.
Yeah. I just remember one time, a friend of mine, he had taken a picture with a playmate, and, it's I guess they're accustomed to people, like, putting their arms around them for photos. No, I'm like, you know what, she's very nice, and, yeah, he has shown me her pictorial, so I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, fine. And
did you do, like,
great.
the hands at my sides lean in thing?
Well, no, this is what I did, because I was a sweaty mess. I had already been walking around for 3 hours, and mind you, I had never been around a girl at all. Not really. So here we have a mature woman, and I'm like, don't fucking touch.
Yeah,
that's in my fucking
respect
head.
Enough to be like, I don't want to offend this person. You saw her as a person before you saw her as an object. Therefore, your first instinct was, let me put up this barrier of respect.
Yeah, and that's when it got really awkward, and I kind of upset my friend slightly, because when I stood up, I put my arm behind her, but it was at waist high, but I wasn't making contact, and she put her arm on my shoulder, and she's like, she looks behind her, and she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm really sweaty, and she's like, come here, and she pulls me in. I'm like,
and see, that's okay, because she initiated the contact. It was one of those things. Was like, yeah.
I was so like, I smiled, but I'm frozen. I'm like, I'm like, oh my god, I'm touching a woman. What do I do? And
freeze. Don't breathe.
High speed blush. No, that was me in the photo, and she actually tilted her head down and all that kind of shit. He was upset because he's like, she took a better picture with you, and I'm like, yeah, because I'm cool.
Well, and not only that, like, did he go up showing respect or anything like that, or did he go up, I think that might have just been her acknowledging the fact that you're like, I see you acknowledging me as a person, that you were concerned about, making uncomfortable. Let me make this a great photo for you.
he's always very polite, and again, he has that acknowledgement that they're models, they're human beings, but there is this kind of he's way more socially awkward than what I am, and so he kind of rushes through moments, and also it doesn't help that at that time he was about the same as me in terms of experience in being around other people. So, far worse so, which I didn't really consider because he had gone to college. I didn't. And I figured he had so much more experience being around people and being in crowds and, all that kind of stuff. But he's kind of like get in and get out. And it's kind of brusque.
Yeah.
But...
Which, what? That kind of works for conventions sometimes as well, too, because you look at that line and you're like, shit, I don't want to take up too much of other people's time as well.
Yeah. And also, I fucking hate crowds.
I've gotten used to them after working in theme parks. They barely faze me anymore. Although, I might be a little agoraphobic after this pandemic, because now I just hate leaving the house. And being around other people. I've gone the complete opposite direction. But to get back to the topic for the last 15, is there any other views or thoughts you have on this new, retro... And because it's not just, the technology that's coming back, it's the aesthetic. People love the fucking blue and purple squiggle from cups from back in the day. That's on everything. Yep. All this vaporwave and cyberpunk stuff coming back. Cyberpunk was big in the 90s and early 2000s as well.
Yes, absolutely. With movies like Hackers coming out and more and more video games and novels and all that, it was really starting to come up to the forefront. But honestly, I think that's like every generation. We go through these little cycles. Ours
the 30-year
just happens
cycle
to align with the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that, to be perfectly honest, because I just love the neon hyper aesthetic of the 80s and early 90s.
And not to mention, too, culturally, I remember, I find it so strange when people talk about, they make such a big deal about urban cinema, but when I was growing up, I remember Eddie Murphy was one of the biggest stars ever. And Denzel Washington, they were kicking ass throughout the mid to late 80s.
Oh, absolutely.
And I felt and you know what? That's the thing, too. Even though they had black leads and even some supporting cast, people didn't view them as black movies. And at least I've never heard anyone tell me, oh yeah, Beverly Hills Cop is a great black movie. I'm like, no, it's just a fucking movie.
It was a movie. Now, if a person of color wanted to take ownership
it's an action
of
comedy.
that and be like, this is an important moment for me because I saw representation in this, yes. But at the time, no, people weren't like, Eddie Murphy is black. People were like, Eddie Murphy is Eddie Murphy. It was a little bit more... colorblind at the time, and now we're in a place where we're like, we are acknowledging that there is a problem and that we do need more representation, because we'd had Eddie Murphy, but how many millions of other white leads were out at the time?
Oh yeah, there were still a bunch, but with Eddie Murphy, Denzel Washington, we were starting to branch out more, and I feel like the perception was a bit more, again, it was more equal, but I feel like people's perceptions nowadays have kind of taken a step back.
It's because everything has a hashtag.
Over the last few years.
Everything has a hashtag. And Hollywood is more accessible to people now, because if you have a question for someone, you can just tweet them. And maybe they'll see it. So people feel like they can have more of an impact on things like casting decisions. Like The Mandalorian, Rosario Dawson just got cast in this role, and she was a top fan cast for that role. So nice. It's happening. People are having an effect on casting choices. But then you also have things like, there was this Supernatural show where two people were shipping these two male characters, and there was this big explosion because it almost happened. One of them expressed feelings for the other, and then they immediately died and went to super hell, specifically for their gay feelings for the other person. And the only reason anybody is talking about the finale for this show is because that happened. So you not only have like this feedback for that's affecting the show, but people are using it to get people to watch. So the way media is presented now, there's a lot more factors than there used to be. It used to be like, Eddie Murphy's popular, let's put him in the movie. Now it's like, this movement is popular, let's put that in the movie, and then maybe cause some drama so people are talking about it.
That's something that kills me too, briefly. It's like the same thing with having female leads in action roles. I'm like, you know what? We weren't complaining in the 80s. We thought it was awesome. Why the fuck do you want to dig in your heels?
It was just another character. It was another movie. Like, we had Ripley, and we loved her. Everybody loved Ripley. It wasn't until the people in power felt like something was getting taken away that it became a problem.
It's like, well, now they're making an agenda. I'm like, no, they're really not.
They're making
they're going to respond to you making it an agenda. So it's you're feeding into a self-fulfilling prophecy, you dumb shit. Just let them. Just let them
Resident
make the Evil.
Movie. Oh,
Alice is not trying to strip you of power, you dumb shit.
Most movies, she's just trying to fucking survive. Most of the time,
and
she's
beat
just
the shit out of people.
She's basically she's Resident Evil's version of Mad Max. She shows up in a place, she doesn't want to have anything to do with them, and then suddenly they talk her into solving all their problems. She's Mad Max.
Basically. It's... I can see that. I can see that. But, no, actually, I think that would be a fun topic for next
Another
time.
One.
Actually talking of... Well, definitely going back to the convention. And you know what? Maybe to explore how that's going to change in a post-pandemic world. Or in a currently
PAX was
pandemic
completely online this year.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah. All of the panels and stuff, they were online, and it was free.
Holy shit.
No, the Penny Arcade Expo will always be my favorite convention because they do shit like this. So in pandemic world, they were like the only convention that didn't really cancel, like they canceled the in-person stuff, but all of their panels, and some of them were really fucking good, all of their panels and stuff still happened. They were just live broadcast on their YouTube channel. They're still there, and it was completely free. And they have a service where they could have been like, oh, this will be available on our paid subscription service. But they didn't do that. They made it free. So we'll see how that goes. They probably made a decent amount on ad revenue. So.
Damn, that's incredible.
Yeah.
But, again, I do not want you to be late for work. I want you to get there in a comfortable amount of time.
The overseers will be harsh upon me. I need to buy soup for my family.
Well, hey, no, we'll definitely come back for another topic. That would be awesome if you'll have me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Viewers at home, you have no idea how many nights me and him just stayed up talking about random bullshit. We could have content for quite a bit. So Mr. Rosa will return. Please let us know down in the comments if there's anything specific you would like us nerds to talk about, and we'll see you next time. Anything to say in goodbye?
Awesome,
anyone you wanna plug?
Hey, if you're at all curious to see what my video game content was like, go ahead and check out Mastercast TV. If you want to see the short movies, say you don't have a VCR, the Dark Current playlist has everything in it, so you can check out the short films individually. That, or if you're into VHS, don't worry. There will be a promo out as soon as they are available. It will be a limited run of 25. So
awesome, and I will have links for your content down below, man. Hey.
Awesome, thank you so much.
No problem. This is fun. All right.
Oh
bye.
yes.
And ending the
Tater,
recording.
tater.